The iShares Semi ETF, look at that, up 7.5% now, on track for its best day since early April. It's hard to, do better than that, given the rebounds we had then, as the U.S. and China strike a deal to trim most tariffs ahead of further trade talks. Intel, Nvidia, and AMD are all among the best performers. Stacy Rasgon is here now. He's Bernstein senior analyst covering the semi space. Bit of whiplash here, Stacy, and the semis are treated a little bit differently than everything else. So where does things stand? Welcome.
Yeah, you bet. So look, it's good for now that these tariffs have been paused. There's a lot of end products that semiconductors go into that, once everything else got going, had the potential to cause quite a bit of disruption to the supply chains, to end demand and everything else. And so the fact that they're paused, I think, is certainly good. Now, I have no idea what comes next. Right. I mean, we're all waiting for, what happens 90 days from now. And it's sort of interesting. You look at the stocks, semis, frankly, even outside of semis, the stocks are now all higher than they were, pre-Liberation Day. They're pretty close to where they were, even pre-election. And look, I think it's fair to say the macro situation is worse probably than it was then. I mean, we still have some tariffs, like lower levels, but those tariffs are still there. People are already worried about cycles rolling over and everything else. And so part of me is just a little confused at not the fact that things are rebounding, but I mean the magnitude.
And not me, right? Because so we look to you for some clarity, but as you say, you're a little confused about why the sector is actually, the stocks are doing so well when you see the economic outlook is cloudy somewhat. What cycles are people concerned about rolling? This very much reminds me of post-COVID, right? Where we started to watch the auto cycle roll over and we thought this whole thing could go belly up, except that, came the dawn of AI, and that was a whole different story. So where are we now?
Yeah, there were other things that happened during COVID. The supply chain whipsaws actually drove, there was stockpiling and frankly, there was demand creation. People bought lots of PCs and everything else, but they had to pay for that on the other end. And so you sort of think about the different end markets before all of the tariff stuff started. PCs, I think, had kind of collapsed and, that was, I guess, sort of stabilized, although even into Q4, I think there was overshipment on some of the components. Smartphones had kind of bottomed and, had a little bit of growth last year. That was good. Industrial is an interesting one. Investors were clearly playing that in the beginning of the year for a Q2 bottoming because, we'd had, 8 or 10 quarters of downward revisions in industrial. And Q2 is typically a safe time to play for a bottom because the second half is typically seasonally stronger anyway. They did the same thing last year. Automotive was a little later cycle. It took longer, but that had been rolling over for the last couple of quarters. I think in the wake of tariffs, we're seeing some similar stuff now. So a lot of the industrial, like the analogs who play in the industrial space, many of them are also still calling for that Q2 bottom, and they're starting to see some recovery. And I think the issue with that is they wouldn't know the difference between true cyclical recovery and demand pull forward in front of potential. They wouldn't know, but it is what it is. Automotive, similar. I think China auto is pretty good. Outside of China, auto is not so great. PCs inclined is sort of this dichotomy. So Intel has actually specifically said, we're seeing pull forward, and they're actually baking that into their guidance. AMD was quite the opposite. They said, no, it's just a strong demand, and we've got great products. I mean, fine. AI is still one that's been off the charts. I mean, investors have been worried about an AI CapEx peak. I'd say investors are really the only ones that have been worried. The companies that are actually out there spending the money, they don't seem to be worried. In fact, CapEx budgets have still been going up. So AI demand at least still looks really, really robust.
So that's an amazing encapsulation. Where then does that leave you on the space? We mentioned that you're overweight NVIDIA, kind of neutral on AMD. Just walk us through. I mean, where do you see the best opportunity right now?
You bet. So I've liked the AI names. I felt that the actual, whereas for a lot of these other end markets, people were really worried about what's going to happen in the second half and is demand real or not. AI demand, I think, is real. I also think the AI hardware, if tariffs are implemented, is somewhat insulated because most of the AI servers come into the U.S. through Mexico. They're USMCA compliant and they're tariff free. So I actually like AI. I like Broadcom has an AI story. They've also got 40% of the revenue software, which is safe, and their non-AI semis were already cyclical low. And I've liked Qualcomm. I seem to be the only one that likes Qualcomm, but nobody likes smartphone stories. But I mean, smartphones actually look okay. There's an Apple headwind from them, but it's 100% known. There's a good content story around AI smartphones. There's a diversification story, and the stock is very, very cheap. So I've liked that. I've been a little more lukewarm on the analogs for some of the cyclical concerns that I've mentioned, and at least the U.S. names are quite expensive. AMD, I've been lukewarm. Look, it's about the same valuation as NVIDIA. Like, why not own NVIDIA instead of AMD? I don't have to argue with myself about, like, is there demand or not for their products. And then Intel is kind of been a little bit of a basket case. I almost view it as kind of like an event-driven stock more than anything else.
True.
They're trying the turnaround. Like, great. It's going to be a slog. I don't really see any hurry to get involved there.
The trading stock, maybe more than anything. Qualcomm, to your point, is up 5% today. Broadcom and some of the others you mentioned as well.